So to shed more light on the issue, we're joined by Michał Kobosko, Polish MP from the Third Way Poland 2050 party and candidate to the European Parliament. Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. So, how would you describe this this campaign ahead of the upcoming European election in comparison to the last electoral campaign we had in Poland in October of last year?
Well, look, this is going to be the third campaign in line, actually, because we had elections in October, general elections, then the local elections back in April of this year, and now we are entering the third elections in line. So people, the voters are a bit exhausted with that much of voting, and also politicians, in a way, are tired as well with that. But seriously speaking, this elections which comes to Poland this Sunday matters a lot. This is about the future of Poland, the future of Poland inside the EU. This is about the strength of Europe and the direction of the things in Europe and the changes in Europe which should be introduced. So also from the Polish perspective, it's really important to go and vote and decide whether we want Europe which cooperates pretty well, pretty smoothly, or we want Europe of divided nations and nations who are quarreling against each other.
Now, speaking of going and voting, now you mentioned this election fatigue, I call it, this marathon the Poles just went through, as you said, parliamentary elections, local elections. Do you think this will impact the turnout? Is there a danger that people said, okay, we did our job, we chose our representatives here, we're a little bit tired, as you said. Do you think this will affect it?
Look, I'm meeting thousands of voters during my campaign, and this is pretty often what they tend to say, that they are saying, okay, that's a bit too much of voting, too many elections in just a couple of months, and secondly, also people do not fully understand what the whole European Parliament is about. Whether and in what way they can influence the issues on the European level. So we are, we keep interpreting, helping our voters to better understand the importance, the significance of the voting, which is coming this weekend, this Sunday. Traditionally, the turnout in the European Parliament elections in Poland was pretty low. So we would be more than happy to see the turnout of some 40%. That would be pretty positive and rather optimistic, I would say so. We are afraid that the figures could be even lower than this. As I said, because of the pretty low interest in this specific elections themselves.
I'd like to follow on Anya's question, because as you said, traditionally voters pay much less attention to European vote than to their own home elections. But it is changing in Poland, if I may say so. 31% of current MPs are candidating to the European Parliament. So what does it tell us about the importance of this vote? You already said that it's about the future of Europe, but it is uncommon that so many current representatives fight for a seat in Brussels.
Look, obviously, it's just a very small figure, it's just a very small number of the MPs who might actually become MEPs after these elections, because altogether Poland will have 53 representatives in the European Parliament. For each party, constructing the election lists, the candidates lists, was pretty important, pretty crucial. We also wanted to have as many strong names, if you like, as possible, because in this election specifically, every vote matters, every vote counts. So we wanted to have many names which are recognizable, pretty well known, those who are MPs, those who are also deputy ministers in some ministries. But again, the real number of those who will be elected eventually is very low. So that doesn't mean that, you know, a big group of Polish MPs is going to export themselves to Brussels and Strasbourg.
Mm-hmm. Now, on your campaign trail, which is ending in just a couple of days, but you spoke to probably many people during this campaign. What are people interested about? Because right now, I mean, we're talking about migration, we're talking about Ukraine, we're talking about Green Deal. Are these topics also of interest of the people you're speaking to, or are there some other topics?
Yes, indeed. Obviously, people hear a lot and want to understand much better what's going on about the Green Deal, what about this migration pact, whether Poland would be eventually forced to allow many of the foreigners to land on our soil, and also other European issues. But frankly speaking, these elections are very domestic, if you like, when it comes to the issues which are interesting for the people. So people tend to say that this is like the continuation of the general elections we had back in October. So people are asking the same questions, and they are asking what have we done after what we promised before October, whether we are really fulfilling our promises, fulfilling our agenda, and why it takes so long. There are some questions whether, you know, those who were and should be seen as guilty of some affairs, scandals, I mean, under previous government in Poland, whether we take them to the court and whether they would be sentenced, because there's a pretty high expectation that we will do so. But also, again, delivering our own promises, our own agenda, our own plans when it comes to very different topics is pretty interesting for the people. So I would say both. This is about Europe, and this is about Poland itself.
Having said that, what's on your agenda? Which European policies need to be changed and which need to be strengthened, in your opinion?
Look, obviously Europe has lots of challenges ahead, and nothing is happening right now that could be seen as a surprise, because we are still talking about the Green Deal. Even if we don't like the Green Deal itself, the solutions chosen by Brussels, we have to deal with the climate change, which is real, and we can feel it almost every day also in Poland, that the climate is changing, and we need to adapt to the new reality. The same about migration. Obviously, we have millions of migrants, of those who would be more than happy to land in Europe, waiting by the gates of Europe, coming mainly from the north of Africa or from Asia. But above all of this, I would say, these elections and this new term of the European Parliament, the European government will be about the security of the continent. And here I mean, frankly speaking, the hard security of the continent. Because, look, it's already 35 years since Poland's almost or semi-free elections, and we thought that the worst was over after 1999, that we would never really face the risk of a real conflict, real war on the continent. And right now, for 2 years and a half, we are seeing a very real full-scale war just next door from us. And Mr. Putin is not joking. He would love to restore both the Soviet Union and the previous sphere of influence of Russia in Europe. So we have to be ready. Europe has to be ready for that. It's not only about Poland, about the Baltic states or Romania, Central and Eastern Europe, is about the whole of Europe. So I believe that we will need to work really hard on making sure that we are all safe, that Europe is finally getting to be serious about our self-defense capabilities, because this was never the case after, as I said, after 1989, governments of Europe, and not only of Western Europe, but also in our part of the continent, they love to spend money on social issues, on reforms, education, healthcare, and so on, not on the defense, because we thought that, as I said, the dark days were over. And unfortunately, the dark days are back, and we have to face it. We have to deal with that, and this is what I want to deal as a future, hopefully, member of the European Parliament.
Well, for sure, the war in Ukraine is a wake-up call for us, Poland, but also for the whole region. Now, speaking of security, defense, and Russia, Hungarian Council presidency is going to run from July 1st until December 31st of 2024. How do you think they may disrupt the works of EU Parliament?
That's the problem, as you rightly said, that they may disrupt what we are doing, because currently we have the Belgian presidency, then the Hungarian presidency, and I hope that nothing really wrong, nothing really bad will happen under the Hungarian presidency. I'm afraid they may try to block the funding or the sending funds to Ukraine, because this package was accepted by the European Union, but this money is flowing to Ukraine. You have to make decisions about sending additional amounts of money to Ukraine, and I'm afraid that when you listen to Orban pretty carefully, he doesn't want to send any help, any aid, any money more to Ukraine. So I hope that this will not materialize, but we have to face it, that the Hungarian presidency might become a problem for all of us. I would say, thanks God, it's just the 6 months, and the Polish presidency comes right afterwards. So I'm hearing from my colleagues from many European countries that they are already waiting for the Polish presidency. They believe that this will be really a positive step ahead for the European Union.
So far, Hungary used to abstain from voting on crucial issues here. So maybe this will be a new tradition for Budapest. Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
Michał Kobosko, MEP candidate and current Poland 2050 Third Way MP. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, and I'm calling everybody to go and vote this Sunday, and I'm calling everybody living abroad to register today, because this is the deadline today to register and to vote. And as I said, these elections really matter a lot for Poland.
Well, that's the main message from our guests and from us, to go and vote, to make a difference.
It's a noble thing to do.